The giant meeting hall on Kepler Station buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the circular chamber, their strange forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few looked like walking crystals. But they all shared one thing: worry. Ambassador Zethkar stepped up to the speaking platform. His blue skin shimmered under the lights as he looked around the room. The tall alien had lived for 300 years, but today he felt older than ever. "Friends of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We face a new threat, a species we have never seen before." Murmurs filled the room. The galaxy had been peaceful for 50 years. Most conflicts ended with talks, not wars. What could be so dangerous? Zethkar activated a hologram above the platform. A small blue and green planet appeared, spinning slowly. "This is the third planet in the Sol system. The beings there call it Earth. They call themselves humans." The image changed to show strange creatures. They stood on two legs like many species, but something about them looked different. Their eyes seemed too bright, too alert. Their faces showed emotions that made the watching aliens uncomfortable. "At first we thought they were just another young species," Zethkar continued. "But then we found something in the old archives. Something from the precursors." The room fell silent. The precursors had been the most advanced race in galactic history. They had built wonders beyond imagination before vanishing 5,000 years ago. Their warnings were never ignored. An ancient alien named Vexithani moved slowly to the front. Her people had lived the longest of any known species. She had been alive when the precursors still existed. Her voice was like whisper of wind through old trees. "I remember the last days of the precursors," she said. "They were afraid. Not of war or disease or even death. They were afraid of something they had seen in a distant star system." She touched a control and words appeared in the air above them. The text glowed with the strange script of the precursor language, then changed to show the translation: "Beware the bipeds of Sol 3. They are the fire that burns without fuel, the storm that creates itself. In desperation they become gods. In peace they become something worse, bored." The chamber erupted in confused voices. Many aliens had never heard anything like this. Fire that burned without fuel, storms that created themselves. What did it mean? Vexithani raised a thin arm for silence. "There is more," she said. "The precursors studied these humans for many cycles. They learned things that frightened them." Another text appeared. "Unlike all known life, the Sol 3 species thrives on conflict. Pressure makes them stronger. Danger makes them smarter. Peace makes them restless. They do not seek comfort. They seek challenge. When no challenge exists, they create one." A reptilian creature from the hegemony stood up. War Commander Crexton was known throughout the galaxy for his aggressive nature. His red eyes glowed with anger. "This is nonsense," he hissed. "The precursors are gone. Their fears died with them. No single species can threaten the entire galaxy." But Vexithani was not finished. The final message from the precursors came just before they vanished. It said, "We tried to study them from far away. They found us anyway. They are coming to visit. They seem friendly. We are afraid of what that means." The room fell dead silent. The precursors had technology beyond anything the current galaxy possessed. If they feared a friendly visit from humans, what did that say about these strange creatures? Zethkar stepped forward again. "Based on this evidence, I propose we establish a quarantine around the Sol system. We mark it as forbidden space and warn all travelers to stay away." Many heads nodded in agreement. It seemed like the wise choice. Better to be safe than sorry. But Crexton laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "You want to hide from shadows and old stories. The hegemony does not run from primitive creatures who have not even left their home system. They are leaving it," Vexithani said quietly. "Our scouts report they have built ships. Crude ones, but they work. They have established bases on other worlds in their system. They are expanding." "Then we should make contact," Crexton declared. "Show them who rules this galaxy. A show of force will keep them in line." Several other aliens murmured agreement. The galaxy had rules. New species had to learn their place. It had always worked before. Zethkar looked around the room, seeing the divided opinions. Some aliens wanted to hide. Others wanted to make contact. A few seemed curious about these humans. "The vote is before us," he announced. "All in favor of quarantine?" About half the representatives raised their hands or appendages or tentacles. all in favor of contact. The other half voted for contact, led by Crexton and his allies. The tie meant no official action would be taken. Each species could decide for themselves how to handle the human situation. As the meeting ended, aliens gathered in small groups, whispering among themselves. Some planned to avoid the Sol system completely. Others began making plans to visit. Crexton approached a group of military commanders from different species. "The Council lacks courage," he said. "But the hegemony does not. A small show of force will put these humans in their proper place." "What if the warnings are true?" asked a cautious voice. Crexton's laugh was cold. "Then we will be the first to discover it. But I suspect we will find nothing more than another weak species ready to serve their betters." Meanwhile, Vex Thani sat alone in her chamber, staring at data displays showing the Sol system. Ships moved between the planets there, building things, exploring, growing stronger every day. She remembered the fear in the precursor voices during those final transmissions. "They seemed so excited to meet us," she whispered to herself. That was what frightened the precursors most. Not anger or hate or aggression. Excitement, curiosity, the joy of discovery. She pulled up more data about humans. Their planet showed signs of recent conflicts, large wars that had ended just decades ago. But instead of being weakened by these wars, the humans seemed to have grown stronger. They had learned to work together. They had advanced their technology at an incredible rate. Most disturbing of all, their radio signals showed they were already imagining what they might find among the stars. They created stories about alien contact. Some stories were about war, others about friendship. But in all of them, the humans seemed eager to find out what was out there. "A species that dreams of the stars," Vex Thani murmured. The precursors were right to be afraid. As night fell on Kepler Station, the galaxy's fate hung in the balance. Some species would heed the ancient warnings, others would ignore them. And far away in the Sol system, humans continued building their ships and dreaming of the day they would meet their neighbors among the stars. They had no idea that their neighbors were already afraid of them. The warning had been given. Now time would tell if anyone would listen. 3 years had passed since the council meeting on Kepler Station. War Commander Crexton stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching 12 hegemony warships move through space toward the Sol system. He had ignored the warnings completely. "Primitive species," he muttered to his officers. "A simple show of force will make them bow down like all the others." The ships looked like merchant vessels from the outside, but they carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Crexton believed in overwhelming power. It had worked on 47 other worlds. Far ahead of them, Captain Sarah Chen sat in the command chair of the UES Defiance, Earth's newest warship. Her brown eyes studied the display screens with the focused attention of a hawk watching prey. "Captain," her sensor officer called out, "I'm picking up 12 ships approaching from outside the system. They're moving in attack formation." Chen nodded. Earth's governments had been preparing for this moment for 5 years, ever since they detected alien radio signals. The approaching ships were trying to look peaceful, but their energy readings told a different story. "Analysis?" Chen asked her tactical officer. Lieutenant Rodriguez pulled up detailed scans. "They're definitely warships, Captain. Each one is about twice our size. Their energy shields are military grade. Weapon ports are hidden but active." Chen smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "So they want to play games. How long until they reach Earth?" 6 hours at current speed." "Good. That gives us time to get ready." Chen activated ship-wide communications. "All hands, this is the captain. We have incoming visitors. They appear to be hostile." Battle stations. The bridge crew moved with calm efficiency. They had trained for this moment for months. Unlike the aliens approaching them, they knew exactly what they were facing. On the hegemony flagship, Fleet Leader Thoxmar opened communications with Earth. His ugly face appeared on screens around the planet. He had sharp teeth and yellow eyes that showed no kindness. "Primitive creatures of Sol 3, he announced. "I am Fleet Leader Thoxmar of the hegemony. You will surrender immediately and submit to our authority. This is your only warning." The response came from Captain Chen. Her image appeared on Thoxmar's screen, and he was surprised by how calm she looked. "Hello, Fleet Leader," she said politely. "Welcome to the Sol system. We've been expecting you." Thoxmar was confused. Expecting them? That was impossible. "You will surrender now. or we will demonstrate our superior firepower." Chen's smile grew wider. "Actually, we've been studying your ship since you entered our outer system 2 days ago. Your lead vessel has a weakness in the port shield generator. Ship 3 has an overheating problem in the main reactor. Ship 7's navigation system has a software error that makes it turn left when the pilot intends to turn right." Thoxmar's mouth fell open. How could they know these things? Those problems were classified information. "We're curious about your weapons," Chen continued. "Our computers predict they use focused plasma energy, effective against most targets, but they have a slow recharge rate. Would you like to test them?" "You dare mock the hegemony?" Thoxmar roared. "Destroy their primitive ships!" The alien fleet opened fire. Bright energy beams lanced through space toward the human vessels. But the humans were ready. Earth's ships moved like dancers, spinning and diving between the alien shots. Their movements seemed impossible, too fast, too precise. The hegemony weapons designed to hit slow-moving targets could not keep up. Then the humans fired back. Human weapons were different from anything the galaxy had seen before. Instead of pure energy, they used kinetic projectiles. Chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The aliens' shields designed to stop energy weapons barely slowed them down. The first hegemony ship exploded in a ball of fire. Then the second. Then the third. Impossible. Thoxmar screamed. "How are they so fast?" His tactical officer was studying the human ships with growing fear.
"Sir, their vessels are smaller than ours, but they're using every bit of space efficiently."
"No wasted mass. Their engines are more powerful than anything in our databases." Another hegemony ship died. The humans were not just winning, they were dominating. Their ships moved like living things, striking from unexpected angles and vanishing before return fire could hit them. But the most frightening thing was how calm the human captain remained. While Thoxmar shouted orders in panic, Captain Chen gave commands in a steady voice, as if she were discussing the weather. "Target their command ship's communication array," she told her weapons officer. "I want to keep them talking." "Why?" Rodriguez asked. "Because they're learning something important right now," Chen replied. "I want to make sure they remember it." The human weapon struck Thoxmar's ship, disabling his main weapons but leaving his communications working. He found himself helpless, watching his fleet get destroyed around him. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You're just one small planet. How can you be so strong?" Chen's image appeared on his screen again. She looked sad now, not angry. "You came here planning to conquer us," she said. "You brought weapons to threaten our families, our children. Did you really think we would not be ready?" "But the council said you were dangerous," Thoxmar protested. "We thought they were being cowards." "The council was trying to protect you," Chen replied. "They warned you to stay away. You should have listened." Another hegemony ship exploded. Then another. Now only 3 remained, including Thoxmar's damaged flagship. "Please," the alien commander begged. "We surrender." "Don't destroy us," Chen considered this. On Earth, the political leaders were watching the battle through satellite feeds. They had given her permission to make decisions in the field. "You came here to hurt us," she said finally. "But you're not the first ones who will try. Others need to know what happened here." She ordered her ships to disable the remaining 2 escort vessels but left them intact. Thoxmar's flagship she left mostly functional. "Go home," she told the defeated alien commander. "Tell everyone what you saw here. Tell them Earth protects itself. Tell them we don't want war, but we're very good at it." As the surviving hegemony ships limped away from the Sol system, Thoxmar stared at the debris of his fleet floating in space. 9 ships destroyed. Hundreds of his people dead. All because he had ignored the council's warnings. "What are they?" he whispered to his surviving officers. His sensor operator, studying the readings from the battle, gave him an answer that chilled his blood. "Sir, I don't think they were using their best weapons. The energy readings suggest they have much more powerful systems that they never activated." "You mean they were holding back?" "Yes, sir. They could have destroyed us all in the first few minutes, but they chose not to." Thoxmar realized the terrible truth. The humans had not fought them with anger or hate. They had fought with cold, calculated precision. They had made their point without unnecessary killing. That was somehow more frightening than any rage. As news of the battle spread across the galaxy, different species reacted in different ways. Some, like Ambassador Zethkar, felt vindicated but worried. The warnings had been right. Others, however, saw opportunity. If one small fleet could be defeated, surely a larger force would succeed. The humans had revealed their capabilities, but they had also revealed that they could be beaten with enough ships. War Commander Crexton received Thoxamar's report with growing anger. The hegemony had been humiliated by a species that had not even left its home system until recently. "Gather the fleet," he ordered. "All of it. We will crush these humans and show the galaxy that the hegemony does not accept defeat." But other species were making their own plans. The crystalline shard collective believed their technology was superior to organic beings. The hive-minded swarm thought their perfect coordination would overwhelm individualistic humans. The energy beings, called the Void Touched, considered physical matter inherently inferior. Each species was certain they would succeed where the hegemony had failed. None of them stopped to ask why the humans had been so prepared for their first alien contact. None of them wondered what other surprises Earth might have waiting. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons or their ships, it was their ability to learn from every fight and become stronger. News of the hegemony's defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the crystal cities of Shard Prime, the collective's central mind studied the battle reports with growing interest. Their crystalline bodies resonated with electronic thoughts as they analyzed the data. The carbon-based organisms succeeded through primitive kinetic weapons, the collective decided. Our crystal hulls are immune to such crude attacks. Silicon superiority will be demonstrated. Meanwhile, in the vast bioships of the swarm, millions of insect-like creatures moved as one mind. Their queen mother spoke for all of them with a voice like buzzing wings. "Individual chaos defeated organized force," she declared. "But perfect unity cannot be overcome. The swarm will show them true coordination." In the energy fields beyond normal space, the Void Touched gathered their thoughts. As beings of pure energy, they looked down on all physical matter as inferior. Flesh fighting flesh, they hummed in frequencies that could shatter stars. "We are beyond such limitations. We shall teach these humans their proper place." Each species was certain they would succeed where the hegemony had failed. Each believed their unique advantages made them superior to both humans and other aliens. None of them thought to work together. That was their first mistake. Captain Sarah Chen, now promoted to admiral after her victory, stood in Earth's new Defense Command Center. The facility had been built deep underground, protected by layers of advanced shielding. Around her, officers from a dozen human nations worked together, monitoring space for new threats. "Admiral," her intelligence chief reported, "we're detecting movement from 3 different sectors. The Shard Collective is mobilizing a crystal fleet. The swarm is sending bioships toward our space. And we're getting strange energy readings from the galactic rim that might be the Void Touched." Chen nodded grimly. "They're not coordinating their attacks. Good. That means we face them one at a time instead of all at once." "Which threat should we prioritize?" asked General Martinez, the head of Earth's ground forces. "All of them," Chen replied. "But differently. Ready the harmonic weapons for the collective, prepare the quantum virus systems for the swarm, and activate Project Mirror for the Void Touched." Her officers exchanged worried looks. These were humanity's most secret weapons, developed during the 3 years since first contact. Each one was designed for a specific type of enemy. The Shard Collective arrived first. Their ships looked like flying cathedrals made of living crystal, beautiful and deadly. Each vessel resonated with harmonic frequencies that could shatter most materials. They had conquered dozens of worlds by simply singing their enemies' ships apart. The crystal fleet approached Earth with confidence. Their leader, a massive being called the Prime Resonance, opened communications. "Carbon creatures," the alien's voice rang like wind chimes in a storm. "Your crude metal ships cannot resist our harmonic might. Surrender, and we will preserve some of you as curiosities." Admiral Chen appeared on their screens looking perfectly calm. "Actually, we've been studying harmonic resonance since your scouts visited the outer system last month. We developed some interesting countermeasures." The Prime Resonance was confused. "What scouts?" "We sent no scouts. The ones hiding in the asteroid belt," Chen replied. "We didn't bother them. We just watched and learned." Before the collective could respond, human ships emerged from behind Earth's moon. They looked different from the vessels that had fought the hegemony, sleeker, with strange modifications along their hulls. The crystal ships began their attack, filling space with destructive harmonics that had leveled entire cities on other worlds. But something impossible happened. The human ships absorbed the harmonic energy and reflected it back, amplified and focused. The collective's own weapons turned against them, their perfect crystals shattering under frequencies they had never encountered before. Impossible! The Prime Resonance shrieked as his flagship began to crack. Crystal is perfection. How can you harm perfection? Easy, Chen replied. We found the resonant frequency that makes your crystals vibrate until they break apart. Every material has one. We just had to find yours. The crystal fleet lasted less than an hour. The survivors fled, their beautiful ships reduced to floating fragments. But before they could reach safe space, they encountered the swarm. The insect-like aliens had been watching the battle, waiting for the right moment to strike. Their bioships looked like massive wasps, dripping with acid and bristling with organic weapons. They moved in perfect formation, every ship responding to the Queen Mother's commands in perfect unity. Crystalline fools, the Queen Mother buzzed to her defeated enemies. You fought as individuals. We are one mind, one purpose. Watch how unity conquers chaos. The swarm attacked with flawless coordination. Every ship moved exactly where it needed to be. Every weapon fired at precisely the right moment. No human fleet had ever faced such perfect teamwork. But Admiral Chen was ready for this too. Activate the quantum virus, she ordered. From hidden satellites around Earth, invisible signals shot toward the swarm ships. The aliens couldn't detect them. The signals used quantum entanglement to bypass all normal sensors. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The swarm continued their perfect attack, forcing human ships to retreat. The Queen Mother's laughter filled space like the sound of a million angry bees. Then the virus took effect. The quantum signals infected the swarm's shared consciousness, introducing tiny errors into their perfect coordination. One ship turned left when it should have turned right. Another fired at empty space instead of a human vessel. Small mistakes, but in a perfectly coordinated system, small mistakes became big problems. The swarm's formation collapsed as ships crashed into each other. Their unity became chaos as the virus spread through their mental network. The Queen Mother screamed in confusion as her perfect control shattered. What have you done to us? She cried. We gave you what you fear most, Chen replied. Individual thought. Your ships are starting to think for themselves instead of following your orders. The swarm fleet tore itself apart as individual ships, suddenly free from the hive mind, made their own decisions. Some tried to flee, others attacked their former allies. Most simply shut down, unable to function without the Queen Mother's constant guidance. But as the second alien fleet destroyed itself, the third threat arrived. The void touched came not as ships but as living energy, beings of pure power that existed between dimensions. They had no physical form, no solid matter that could be destroyed by conventional weapons. Their leader, an entity called the Consuming Light, spoke in frequencies that made reality itself vibrate. Physical beings, it said, its voice like the sound of stars dying. You cannot harm what has no form. You cannot fight what you cannot touch. Behold true power. The energy beings began to attack, striking at Earth's power grids, trying to drain all energy from the planet. Their assault was unlike anything humans had faced before. How do you fight an enemy made of pure energy? But Admiral Chen smiled. Fire Project Mirror. Around Earth, hidden installations activated. They had been built in secret, disguised as communication satellites. Now they revealed their true purpose. The devices were mirrors, but not ordinary ones. They reflected energy in ways that physics said should be impossible. As the void touched struck at Earth, their own power was turned back on them, focused and concentrated until it became a weapon. Impossible, the Consuming Light shrieked as its own energy tore through its essence. How can matter command energy? We learned about dark energy, Chen explained. The force that holds the universe together. We figured out how to weaponize it. Your energy attacks just make our weapons stronger. The void touched found themselves fighting their own reflected power, amplified by forces they had never imagined. Their energy forms began to dissipate, unable to maintain coherence against their own reflected might. Within hours, the third alien fleet was gone, scattered back to whatever dimension they had come from. As news of these three defeats spread across the galaxy, something unprecedented happened. Instead of fear or anger, many alien species began to feel something else entirely. Curiosity. How had humans prepared for three completely different types of enemies? How had they developed specific counters for each alien advantage? Most importantly, how had they done all this in just 3 years? Ambassador Zethkar sent a message to Earth, requesting peaceful contact. "We wish to understand," he said. "How did you know what weapons to build?" Admiral Chen's reply was simple but profound. "We studied you. All of you. We watched your scouts, analyzed your technology, learned your weaknesses. Then we prepared. But how did you know we would come?" Chen's smile was sad. "Because that's what we would have done. If we found a new species, we would want to test them, to see what they were capable of. We built our defenses by thinking like our enemies." What terrified the galaxy most was not humanity's weapons or their victories. It was the realization that humans had won by understanding their enemies better than the enemies understood themselves. And now, watching from across the stars, the rest of the galaxy began to ask a frightening question. What else did the humans know about them? The answer would soon become clear. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or firepower. It was empathy, the ability to understand others so completely that they could predict their actions and prepare accordingly. The Emergency Assembly of the Galactic Council had never seen anything like it. Representatives from 37 different species gathered in the Great Chamber on Kepler Station, their faces showing fear, anger, and desperation in equal measure. Ambassador Zethkar stood at the center, his blue skin pale with worry. Around him, aliens who had been enemies for centuries now worked together with a single goal: stopping the humans before they became unstoppable. 4 major fleets have been destroyed, he announced to the assembled representatives. The Hegemony, the Shard Collective, the Swarm, and the Void Touched. Each one was defeated by weapons specifically designed to counter their strengths. A reptilian delegate from the Skelkan Empire raised a clawed hand. How is this possible? How can one species develop so many different technologies so quickly? Old Vextani spoke from her place of honor. Her ancient voice carried across the chamber like whisper of wind through dead leaves. Because they understand us better than we understand ourselves. They study us, learn our weaknesses, and prepare accordingly. War Commander Crexton of the Hegemony, his pride wounded by his people's defeat, stood with difficulty. His injuries from the human battle still caused him pain. "Then we must strike before they can prepare for all of us," he declared. "Individual attacks have failed. But together with our combined fleets we can overwhelm them." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Fear had brought together species that had never cooperated before. The crystalline shard collectives. Prime Resonance somehow agreed with the insect. Queen Mother of the Swarm. Energy beings of the Void. Touched found common cause with physical creatures they usually ignored. Kjapinker, Coalition of Concerned Species, Zethkar announced. All of us working together to contain this threat before it spreads. What none of them realized was that their communications were being monitored. Human intelligence had cracked most galactic communication codes years ago. Every word spoken in the chamber was being transmitted to Earth in real time. Admiral Marcus Torres sat in Earth's Defense Command Center, watching the alien assembly through hidden sensors. He was Chen's replacement. She had been promoted to head of all human military forces across their 17 colonized star systems. 37 species, his intelligence officer reported. Over 10,000 ships. They're calling it Operation Final Solution. Torres was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. But instead of worry, his expression showed something that would have terrified the aliens if they could see it. Excitement. "Finally," he said with a slight smile. A real challenge. His officers exchanged glances. They had learned to recognize that tone in their admiral's voice. It meant he was about to do something that would be remembered for centuries. "Orders, sir?" asked his tactical officer. "Alert all colonies. Prepare Phase 2 defenses. And send a message to Admiral Chen. Tell her it's time for the family reunion." Across human space, a dozen different worlds received the signal. Mars with its vast underground cities. Europa, where humans had learned to live beneath the ice. The mining colonies in the asteroid belt. The research stations orbiting distant gas giants. Each world had been preparing for this moment. Not just with weapons, but with something far more valuable: understanding. The coalition fleet was massive beyond imagination. Ships of every size and shape moved through space toward human territory. crystal vessels that sang with deadly harmonics, bioships that pulsed with organic life,
Energy beings that existed between dimensions.
metal warships bristling with weapons. Leading them was the largest vessel ever built, the Coalition flagship Eternal Victory. It was a joint construction, built by all 37 species working together. Nothing like it had ever existed before. Fleet Commander HFY, chosen to lead the combined force, stood on the bridge surrounded by representatives from every species. The planning had taken months. The logistics had required unprecedented cooperation, but now they were ready. "We have overwhelming numbers," he announced to his diverse crew. "We have superior technology. We have the element of surprise. The humans cannot possibly have prepared for all of us working together." He was wrong. As the Coalition fleet approached the outer edge of human space, they encountered the first surprise. The asteroid belt around Seoul had been modified. What looked like ordinary space rocks were actually weapon platforms, disguised so perfectly that even detailed scans could not tell the difference. The asteroids opened fire with weapons unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Not energy beams or kinetic projectiles, but gravitational distortions that crushed ships by increasing their local gravity 1,000-fold. "Impossible," HFY whispered as he watched Coalition vessels crumple like paper. "How can they manipulate gravity itself?" His science officer, a crystalline being from the Shard Collective, provided the answer. "Admiral, they appear to have weaponized dark matter, the force that holds galaxies together. This should not be possible for any known technology. But the gravitational weapons were just the beginning. As the Coalition fleet pushed deeper into human space, they encountered defenses that seemed designed specifically for each species present. Harmonic dampers that neutralized the Collective's crystal weapons. Quantum scramblers that disrupted the swarm's hive mind. Reality anchors that prevented the void touched from shifting between dimensions. Each alien species found their greatest strengths turned into weaknesses. They knew we were coming. Queen Mother Zextel of the swarm buzzed in growing panic. They knew exactly which species would be here. "Of course they knew," replied Prime Resonance Clarth of the Collective. "They have been watching us, studying us, learning everything about us while we ignored them." The Coalition fleet was being picked apart piece by piece. But they still had numbers on their side, and they pushed forward with desperate determination. That's when they encountered humanity's real surprise. As the Coalition ships fought their way past Earth's outer defenses, they suddenly found themselves facing not just human vessels, but ships from species they recognized. Hegemony cruisers, collective crystal ships, swarm biovessels, even void-touched energy forms, traitors! HFY screamed. "Some of our people have joined the humans." But his communications officer, a young hegemony warrior named Teclon, provided a different answer. "Sir, I'm receiving friendly signals from those ships. They say they are volunteers." Volunteers for what? To fight alongside humanity. The truth was stunning. After their defeats, many aliens had approached Earth not for revenge, but for understanding. They wanted to know how humans had beaten them so easily. And in learning, some had chosen to stay. Admiral Torres had welcomed them all. He had offered them equality, not as servants but as partners. Some aliens, impressed by human determination and offered genuine respect, had chosen to join Earth's growing coalition. Now they fought beside their former enemies against their former allies. The battle raged for 11 days across 17 star systems. The coalition threw everything they had at humanity's defenses. Biological weapons that could destroy entire ecosystems, reality-warping devices that changed the laws of physics, temporal manipulators that tried to erase human history itself. But for every weapon the coalition used, humanity had a counter. Not just technological, but psychological. They had studied each species so thoroughly that they could predict their tactics, their weaknesses, even their deepest fears. On the 10th day, something unprecedented happened. Coalition ships began to surrender without firing a shot. Their crews had realized they were not fighting humans. They were fighting themselves. Every attack they made was turned against them using weapons built from their own technology and tactics. Fleet Commander HFY, his massive flagship surrounded by human vessels, finally understood the terrible truth. "You were never trying to conquer us," he said to Admiral Torres during the surrender negotiations. "You were trying to save us." Torres nodded gravely. "From yourselves, yes. The galaxy has been at war for thousands of years. Species fighting species, never learning, never growing. We studied your histories. We saw the pattern. What pattern? Every species conquers others until someone stronger comes along. Then they get conquered in turn. It never ends. But we're offering something different. What? Partnership, equality, a chance to explore the universe together instead of fighting over pieces of it. As the coalition fleet surrendered, Admiral Chen arrived with reinforcements from the outer colonies. But instead of more warships, she brought something that shocked the defeated aliens: hospital ships, supply vessels, and construction platforms. "We're here to help rebuild your fleets," she announced to the surrendering aliens. "Not as our servants, but as our partners." The surrender was complete, but it was unlike any victory in galactic history. Instead of demanding tribute or territory, humans offered aid. Instead of enslaving their enemies, they invited them to join as equals. Many aliens, seeing this unprecedented mercy, began to understand what the old warnings had really meant. Humans were not dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because they were generous. They offered something the galaxy had never seen before: true cooperation. Why? 6 months after the end of the Coalition War, Earth looked very different. Ships from hundreds of alien species filled the orbital space around the blue planet. Not warships this time, but diplomatic vessels, trade ships, and construction platforms working together to build something the galaxy had never seen before. The new Galactic Council chamber sat in Earth's orbit, a massive station built with technology from every known species. Crystal walls from the Shard Collective provided structure. Organic components from the swarm created living systems that grew and adapted. Energy fields from the void touched powered everything, and human engineering held it all together. Admiral Sarah Chen, now wearing the insignia of the Terran Galactic Navy, stood before the largest gathering of alien species in recorded history. Over 300 different civilizations had sent representatives to Earth. Some came out of curiosity, others out of fear, but most came because they had heard something impossible: that peace was possible. "Friends," Chen began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber, "6 months ago, many of you came to our system to destroy us. Today you're here to build something together. I want to explain why." She activated a holographic display showing the galaxy as it had been for thousands of years. Species, fighting species. An endless cycle of conquest and defeat. "This is what we found when we learned about galactic civilization," she continued. "War without end. Suffering without purpose. Species rising and falling in the same pattern, over and over again." The image changed to show Earth's history, the world wars, the conflicts that had nearly destroyed humanity's home planet. "We know this pattern because we lived it. We nearly destroyed ourselves fighting each other. But we learned something important from our mistakes." An alien delegate from the Crystalline Assembly raised a shimmering arm. "What did you learn?" she asked, her voice like wind chimes. "That our greatest strength comes not from defeating our enemies, but from understanding them," Chen replied. "When we studied each of your species, we didn't just learn your weaknesses. We learned your hopes, your fears, your dreams for the future." She gestured to the mixed crews working throughout the station. Humans worked alongside former enemies, sharing knowledge and building friendships that would have been impossible just months ago. The hegemony taught us about honor and military precision. The Shard Collective showed us the beauty of perfect harmony. The swarm demonstrated the power of unity. The void touched revealed secrets of energy we never imagined. War Commander Crexton, now serving as Earth's liaison to former hegemony worlds, stepped forward. His proud bearing was intact, but his eyes showed new wisdom. "You're saying you studied us to learn from us, not just to defeat us?" he asked. "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "Every species has something valuable to offer. The question is whether we share knowledge or hoard it, whether we build together or tear each other down." Elder Counselor Vexthani, the ancient being who had witnessed the rise and fall of 17 civilizations, spoke from her place of honor. Her voice was stronger now, filled with something she had not felt in centuries: hope. "I have lived longer than any being in this chamber," she said. "I have seen empires rise and fall, species conquer and be conquered. But I have never seen what I see here today." "What do you see?" asked a young delegate from a recently discovered species. "Species working together without conquest, sharing knowledge without domination, building something greater than any one civilization could achieve alone." She stood slowly, her ancient form still commanding respect. The precursors left warnings about humanity. They said humans were dangerous. They were right, but not in the way we thought. The chamber fell silent as Vexithani revealed information she had kept secret for millennia. The precursors' final message was longer than we told you. They said, the bipeds of Sol 3 are not the destroyers we feared. They are the builders we hoped for. They do not seek to rule the galaxy, they seek to save it. From itself, if necessary. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Many aliens had made their decisions based on incomplete information. Why didn't you tell us this before? Demanded Prime Resonance Clarth of the Collective. Vexithani's expression was sad but wise. Because you had to discover it for yourselves. If I had simply told you humans were peaceful, would you have believed me? Would the hegemony have accepted defeat gracefully? Would the coalition have surrendered without a fight? The aliens looked at each other, realizing the truth. They had needed to test humanity's strength before they could accept humanity's mercy. Chen stepped forward again. Today we're signing the new Galactic Compact. Not a treaty of conquest or surrender, but an agreement to explore the universe together. The document that appeared on the chamber's displays was unlike any treaty in galactic history. Instead of establishing dominance, it established equality. Instead of dividing territory, it encouraged exploration. Instead of imposing one species' culture, it celebrated diversity. Under this compact, Chen explained, every species maintains its independence and culture, but we agree to share knowledge, to help each other in times of crisis, and to explore the unknown together. A delegate from a small, peaceful species that had never fought anyone raised a tentative appendage. What about disputes? What happens when species disagree? We talk, Chen replied simply. We negotiate. We find solutions that work for everyone. And if someone refuses to talk, she smiled, but it was not entirely pleasant. Well, you've seen what happens to species that choose aggression over cooperation. The threat was gentle but real. Humanity had proven they could defeat any aggressor. But more importantly, they had proven they preferred not to. As the signing ceremony began, representatives from hundreds of species added their marks to the compact. Some signed eagerly, excited by the possibilities. Others signed reluctantly, still afraid of human power. But all of them signed. Ambassador Zethkar, who had issued the first warnings about humanity, approached Chen personally. Admiral, he said quietly, I owe you an apology. When I warned the galaxy about your species, I thought I was protecting us from destroyers. You were, Chen replied. In a way, we are destroyers. We destroy the old ways of thinking, the old patterns of endless war. We destroy the idea that might makes right and that cooperation is weakness. And what do you build in their place? Chen gestured to the station around them, to the mixed crews working together, to the aliens who had become friends instead of enemies. Hope, she said simply. We build hope. As the ceremony concluded, alerts began sounding throughout the station. Admiral Torres, now commanding Earth's Deep Space Reconnaissance Fleet, appeared on the main display with urgent news. Admiral Chen, he reported, we're receiving long-range signals from outside the galaxy. Something big is coming. Ships unlike anything we've ever seen. They appear to be from another galaxy entirely. The chamber buzzed with nervous energy, a new threat just when peace had been achieved. But Chen's response embodied the new spirit of galactic cooperation. Instead of panic or fear, she showed excitement. Well, she said to the assembled representatives, it looks like we're going to have visitors. This should be interesting. She turned to address the entire chamber. Friends, we have our first test as a united galaxy. Unknown ships approaching from intergalactic space. They could be peaceful explorers, refugees fleeing some disaster, or invaders looking for new conquests. What do you propose? Asked Queen Mother Zextal of the swarm. We do what we do best, Chen replied. We prepare for anything, hope for the best, and face it together. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every species in the chamber volunteered ships, technology, and personnel for the response fleet. Former enemies worked together to prepare defenses. Knowledge was shared freely as hundreds of civilizations contributed their expertise. War Commander Crexton summarized what everyone was feeling. 6 months ago, we would have fought each other while the threat approached. Today we stand united. As the massive joint fleet prepared to depart for the galactic rim, Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship, a vessel that combined technology from dozens of species. Her crew included humans, hegemony warriors, collective crystals, swarm drones, void-touched energy beings, and representatives from species that had been enemies for millennia. "Admiral," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving final messages from across the galaxy. Over 1,000 species are sending support fleets to join us." Chen smiled as she looked at the tactical display showing the largest fleet in galactic history. Not assembled for conquest, but for exploration and defense. Not united by fear, but by hope. "Set course for the galactic rim," she ordered. "Let's go meet our new neighbors." As the fleet jumped to hyperspace, a single thought echoed through the minds of every being aboard. Whatever they found out there, they would face it together. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest gift was not their strength in war, but their ability to turn enemies into allies, strangers into friends, and a collection of isolated species into a true galactic community. The humans had kept their promise. They had not conquered the galaxy, they had saved it. Thank you for watching and comment for next part.